I want to thank everyone for the support. Look, to be honest, I don't want to talk for too long this morning because there's a lot of content and you want to hear from the four experts here rather than me. But I will say that we've learned a lot in the workshops personally. This is like an accelerated learning experience. You'll see that there's lots of GRV people here, and that's an opportunity for us to understand what's in your heads. You'll see that the format of the workshop is about the industry participants talking to the industry participants rather than GRV, which is really important, I think, so that you've got people with genuine expertise. You all know that I'm not a greyhound trainer, racer and breeder. You'll know that Charlie Bassina's not a greyhound racer, trainer and breeder, and etc. So, given that we don't have backgrounds in the racing, the greyhound racing industry as such, other than I have a background in the financial side of it, it's important for us to learn. But the reason we're having the workshops, obviously, is because we have problems to solve. So we need to breed less, we need to breed better, we need to rear better, which is what last week was on about. We need to potentially extend the life, a racing career. The dogs are starting at about, 20 months, finishing their careers at about 32, 34 months, average of 30 races per dog for dogs that race. If you have that sort of scenario, then you need what we've got at the moment, which is 7,600 dogs, 4,200 in each year, 4,200 out, more or less. Stuart's the numbers man here, and I just follow Stuart. Okay, but that's basically what we're at the moment. As our numbers get better and we're more evidence-based, we'll be much more definite about it. But that's what we think at the moment, the best advice we can get from the numbers. And we're blessed that we've got fast track, so we actually have quite a bit of detailed information in there that we've been really analysing, right? But if we extend the dog's career to 45 races instead of 30, we need so many less dogs. Now, we've got to do it safely. We've got to do it sensibly. Don't put the dog at risk. So that's what the purpose of today is. I'd just like to particularly thank Kel Greenough, Trevor Whitford, Ray Ferguson and Gerard O'Keeffe for participating today.
And you know a lot about greyhound racing, and you had a very, very big input when it came to the current prize money structure in Victoria and whether or not that was right at the moment or whether or not there needs to be change.
I think there needs to be change. We need to look at our lower stake money for tier 3s and below, and if we bring in an extra tier, we need to look at stake money for that, because owners tend to struggle, and that's where we tend to get a drop out of greyhounds from that situation.
And the other question that you were quite keen on was how does a trainer best plan a racing career for a greyhound?
Yeah, best planning of a racing career depends on the individual greyhound. Every greyhound's different, but planning out as per ability is probably your best bet. If you've got a city class dog, you head to the city. If you've got a dog that you think can win a feature race as a younger dog, it's probably city class. If you're only a tier dog, you look at your all maiden meetings. So it just depends on the class of the dog and how it develops.
I'm joined here by Kel Greenough, and Kel, you had a big say in why greyhounds drop out of the system before 10 race outings, and explain why that is.
Yeah, well, they drop out of the system very early because a number of reasons, James, and I guess one of the main reasons is they're not educated properly in the first place, and they sort of come into the system where they haven't done enough pre-work in half fields and education, and they'll put them at a track where they haven't raced, and all of a sudden your dog gets beat a few times and they drop out of the system.
And add to that, you're also very keen on greyhounds not being able to start to bring in a policy till 20 months of age. It'll give the greyhounds more time to, I guess, be pre-trained as such.
Yeah, I think that 20 months is probably still a fairly early time to start a dog, and 16 months to me is ridiculous. So, most dogs should still be learning how to train at 16 months, and if you're remodelling bones and everything else, you're going to break down. So it's all about longevity. Well, we want dogs to race till hopefully 4 years of age or even longer. If they have veterans races on, then that'll make a big difference to that as well.
Just touching on veteran racing, potentially dropping it back maybe to 3.5 years of age and adding tiers to the veterans as well.
Yeah, well, look, anything to add longevity to a greyhound's career is great. And if we can't obviously have group dogs running against Tier 3 dogs, so if we can grade them accordingly and dogs can keep racing, then that's a bonus for everybody.
The other was greyhounds coming back from injury that still get graded the same as to prior before they hurt themselves.
Absolutely, and as I said, we had a dog recently that was in that system and he had a very high ranking, and then he couldn't reach that after he broke his leg at the Meadows. He retired out of the system because he couldn't run within half a second of his time, but was still able to race. He was a 29.3 dog here, and he would have been lucky to break 30. So that's a big difference.
Ray, being from a vet background and working with greyhounds for quite a long time, at what age does a greyhound reach its peak in terms of performance, and when does the decline for performance then happen?
They're usually starting, James, to hit their peak about 24 months, and they'll race well through until 36 months, 3 years. Some are ready a lot earlier, particularly the girls. They mature more younger than the boys do. Often the boys will be 24, 30 months before they're fully mature.
And that comes down to bone growth as well, doesn't it?
Bone growth, muscle development, general tissue strength. Yeah.
We then take that to how many race starts should a healthy greyhound have within a month, and therefore should that be capped per week to how many starts a greyhound can have?
I think one start a week is enough for a greyhound. So in a calendar month, 4 to 5 starts is enough. You know.
Yeah. And the other question we had was, why do you think so many greyhounds are disappearing from the system prior to them having 10 race outings?
I think largely it's the lack of opportunity for them to race, that there are no, or there's insufficient grades for the slower dogs, and that's what we've got to address.